You all know that there's different views on one of the subjects that I love talking about the most. Plural marriage, as in one man, multiple wives. And let's see how the understanding of one man, one wife, how that came over to us in the United States of America. So when the patriot Abraham was brought up, most people be like, well, that was Sarah who brought Hagar into Abraham. He originally wasn't going to do it. Well, Josephus actually has a different story from an actual Jew, how that actually came about, not the Masoretic text, but from a Jew dealing with their understanding. But let's just look at Genesis 25 and 1. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. So, who made Abraham get to Keturah? Sarah wasn't around for that one. So, why did Abraham get another wife after Hagar? Let's keep reading. Verse 6, Genesis 25 and 6. Well, let's start at 5. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward into the east country. So we had Abraham right here having children by his concubines with an S. So that's the friend of God having more than one wife. No one said anything negative about it throughout the whole entire Bible. Nobody called it lustful. None of the women disagreed, and etc. throughout the entire Bible. Let's continue. Now let's look at the ordinance for the king. Deuteronomy 17 and 17. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. So now, he cannot multiply wives nor silver and gold. So how could he be wealthy? That will be one question if he cannot multiply silver and gold. Understand what it's talking about. But there have the rabbis, and the rabbis actually give commentary on this verse. It says that the multiplying right there actually mean 18 or above dealing with the wives. 18 wives are above. That's how they looked at multiply, not 1 and 2 and 3. And plus, this is for the kings. Let's see a few chapters later what the common man gets. Deuteronomy 21:15 from the law of Moses. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, ain't no need to read further on. It says if a man has two wives, showing that it was plausible for two wives to be had inside of Torah. Now you got people who come around in the New Testament talking about, well, Christ did away with the plural marriages. He did away with polygyny. This is Matthew 5, verse 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So Christ clearly said he did not come to destroy the law. And inside of the law, there's marriages. There's rules and regulations dealing with polygyny. So Christ did not come to do away with the law. And the part of the law was dealing with polygyny, but to fulfill it. And then in the new covenant, the ordinances of marriage did not change. Let's continue. Oh, yes. Then you have the people who say, well, after Christ resurrected and after his sacrifice and after the gospel was spread and etc., plural marriage ended then. That's when it was supposed to end. Well, we have a book right here, right? This is the Ante-Nicene Church Fathers. This is a dialogue with Trypho. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Dialogue with Trypho. And this is what he states. He was against polygyny. Well, let's see what he says. This is on page 270, section chapter 141. And this one fall of David in the matter of Uriah's wife proves, sirs, I said, that the patriarchs had many wives, not to commit fornication, but that a certain dispensation and all mysteries might be accomplished by them. So he's stating that this plural marriage in the Bible was supposed to be a mystery. Well, let's keep going on. This is created after the destruction of 70 AD. After the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD, this was written around 2nd century. This is what he says. Since if it were allowable to take any wife or as many wives as one chooses, and how he chooses, which the men of your nation do over all the earth, wherever they sojourn or wherever they have been sent, taking women under the name of marriage, much more would David have been permitted to do this. So he stated that even in his time period, the Jews that were spread all over the world were still practicing polygyny, even in the 2nd century. Then you have the people like, well, polygyny is okay. You just got to be super rich and you got to have all these superhuman powers in order to practice it. This is Antiquity of the Jews by Josephus, a Jew. This is what he says in Book 17, Chapter 1, Section 2. I'm going to start at line 14. He also calls them to be betrothed against they should come to the proper age of marriage. The elder of Alexander's son to Pharoah's daughter, and Antipater's, my bad, y'all, daughter of Aristobulus, elder's son. He also allotted one of Aristobulus' daughters to Antipater's son, and Aristobulus' other daughter to Herod, a son of his own, whom was born to him by the high priest's daughter. For it is the ancient practice among us to have many wives at the same time. Notice he didn't say anything about our nobilities or us rich people, just among us. Let's don't leave Josephus just yet. This is War of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 24, Section 2. We're going to start at line 477. She also frequently reproached Herod's sister and wives with the ignobility of their descent, and that they were everyone chosen by him for their beauty, but not for their family. Now those wives of his were not a few, it being of old permitted to the Jews to marry many wives, and the king delighting in many, all whom hated Alexander on account of Glaphire's boasting and reproaches. See, that's War of the Jews, Josephus, right? It's a little beat up, but as you can clearly see, he said it was allowed, it was permitted for them from time of the old. He didn't say it was permitted only for those in nobility, those that was rich. So we got to quit that false you got to be rich in order to do it mindset. That's not what the Bible says. That's not what history says. It was permitted for them because of their race, because of their bloodline, and that's it. Let's fast forward us to coming under Rome, becoming slaves, and etc., and picking up the Roman government. You see that? Ancient Rome, big thick book. This is Marriage, Divorce, and the Power of the Father, found on page 468, right there. It states, like the Greeks, but unlike the early Jews or the Persians, the Romans were always monogamous. So, we living in a Roman type government handed down to us through the quote unquote powers that be, through the slave masters and etc. Their families were always monogamous, unlike the Jews and the Persians, and you can even add some of Ham folks, unlike those over there in Africa as well. So that's how that mindset of monogamy came about. But I'm just here to show you that history is giving us a different lesson. Thank you all for listening in. Propolygyny all the way. Oh yeah, and for the record, according to some statistics, by the time of 2030 comes, 45% of women will be single without children. Now, explain to me how you guys can expect for population to continue on Earth when almost close to half of y'all are going to be single without kids. Make it make sense. Subscribe to the channel.